Welcome to today's Explainer. We are jumping right into a massive Manhwa recap, breaking down an absolute epic tale of gamified survival. I mean, have you ever wondered what it takes to just completely shatter a world's power scaling? Well, we're about to find out. So let's dive straight into the source material. How exactly does our main guy, Suming, go from this supposedly trash-tier student to literally breaking the system's rules? Over a totally frantic 48 hours, he leverages knowledge from a past life to completely dismantle every single challenge thrown at him.
All right, kicking things off with part one, the awakening ceremony.
Now, the contrast here is crazy. Suming steps up to the awakening portal, right? But he deliberately manipulates his public status. To all the snobby elites watching, he's just a weak sword controller. But his actual hidden reality? He is a 10-star mythical sword god. He already knows exactly how to exploit this world. And Suming doesn't waste a single second using that hidden knowledge. When the wealthy elites try to buy him out, he completely shuts them down with that exact quote. It's so satisfying. He then uses his insight to gamble on a literal trash loot pile, secures a hidden silver-grade sword, and permanently cuts ties with the people who betrayed him in his past life. Yeah, he's totally done playing nice.
If we map out his main quest log, you can really see the relentless pace he sets for himself. In a span of just 3 days, he goes from the awakening ceremony to completely dominating dungeons and then plunging straight into the Mirage Zone. The guy's on a seriously tight schedule. Moving right along to part 2, dominating the beginner dungeon. This is where it gets incredibly fun. He completely bypasses standard pay-to-win mechanics by using this mythical talent called All Things Ascend. He basically upgrades basic loot into the Blood Oath Sword. We're talking added lifesteal and massive stat boosts. He's out here generating game-breaking gear before the trial even officially starts. Armed with his new gear, his dungeon grind is just relentlessly efficient. He's using Divine Step for crazy speed, throwing out ranged slashes for crowd control, and dumping massive points into agility. By treating all these monster encounters with cold, pure tactical calculation, he levels up so fast that he completely outclasses his wealthy, supposedly genius rivals. Which brings us to Section 3, Slaying the Hidden Boss. So he summons this level 19 Hidden Boss. It's mounted and super mobile. But notice how Suming orchestrates this brilliant tactical breakdown. He has his party pull aggro, blind the rider, and then completely immobilize the mount with skeletons. By stripping away that huge mobility advantage, he can safely rip the knight right out of the saddle and solo the rest of the fight.
91. I really want you to let that number sink in for a second. That is 91%. That's Suming's near impossible solo contribution score for the entire raid. Obviously, it earns him the S-Rank Rookie King title, and it actually brings his academy principal to tears of joy because their chronically last-place school finally snagged the #1 spot.
All right, on to part 4, the 100-layer tower. Here is where having past life knowledge absolutely breaks the system. While hundreds of other challengers are stuck listening to this boring opening ceremony, Suming just casually sits in the empty lobby chairs. He knows that doing this secretly initiates the login sequence early. Boom! He completely bypasses the system's hidden test and gets a massive time advantage over everyone else. But get this, Floor 1 features a massive, high-level chicken, and it's actually parrying his strikes. It turns out, this tower tests intelligence way more than raw strength. So what does Suming do? He exploits a real-world biological trick called tonic immobilization. He literally pins the bird down to trigger a stress-induced freeze, easily defeating the boss without even needing raw power. To keep a low profile, he masks his identity and takes on the super ominous ID 01 under the title Godslayer. And man, as he blasts through those first few floors in mere minutes, his name sends absolute shockwaves across the global leaderboards. The whole lobby is left panicking, trying to figure out who this mysterious elite player could possibly be. As a result, his progression gap is just untouchable. While his rivals are tapping out way early, Suming pushes all the way to floor 20, and when he faces a boss that is way above his raw stats, he unleashes a legendary past life strike that actually earns the system's respect. Then, he tactically forfeits. He knows exactly when to fold, especially since he already locked down first place. Finally, we hit part 5, Surviving the Mirage Zone. Right before he heads out to fight, he drops 10,000 Empire coins to sponsor a struggling blacksmith. You might be wondering, why do that?
Well, because he knows for a fact she's going to become a legendary artisan. By sponsoring her now, he secures a permanent 30% discount on all future gear. I mean, it's the ultimate example of investing early for massive long-term gains.
Out in the dense Mirage Forest, things get intense. Suming is ambushed by 3 high-level assassins hired by a bitter rival. But rather than panic, our battle-hardened veteran analyzes the level cap laws and realizes, hey, compared to my past life, these guys are basically beginners. So he uses a shadow clone to bait them and just casually executes their mage.
At this point, he totally drops the underdog facade. Staring down the remaining assassins, he unleashes a killing intent so raw, so terrifying, that they completely lose their nerve. He essentially reminds them that the souls he claimed in his past life are countless, and to him, they're nothing more than prey.
But here's the catch. The assassins still outlevel him in raw stats. So how do you beat them? Well, you don't. You let the monsters do it for you. In a stroke of pure tactical genius, Suming cleverly redirects an enemy's homing spell to strike a sleeping level 26 Python King boss. The enraged giant snake slaughters the assassins, and Suming effortlessly swoops in to steal the final kill. Then, out of nowhere, an opportunistic predator hits him with a stealthy 2-minute paralysis skill. Suming is completely frozen, but instead of freaking out, he bluffs his way through the timer, just totally mocking the assassin to stall for time. A minor distraction breaks the enemy's focus right as the paralysis ends, and Suming easily secures his survival. When Suming finally returns to the quest hall, he triggers absolute mass shock. Defeating a wanted player killer upgrades his reward to a diamond tier, which officially advances him to the rank of Sword King. But, true to form, he intentionally lies to the crowd, claiming he just leeched off a massive party. He is perfectly content letting them think he's weak, while he quietly hoards all his newfound power. So, we've just watched this protagonist turn a supposedly trash-tier class into an absolute city-dominating force. It leaves you wondering, if Suming can break the system this completely in just 48 hours, what in the world happens when the hidden sword god finally stops holding back? You know the gap is only going to widen. Thanks for hanging out for this explainer. Keep analyzing, keep learning, and I'll catch you on the next one.